Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, June 20th, and apparently YouTube has changed its chat web page a little bit, so now my text and chat looks messed up. I noticed that they took away the crown and now I'm just highlighting the moderators and people who are in charge on chat in yellow. Well, at least me in yellow, so the owner of the live stream. We still have time to do these quests, so great for that, and that's going to be a thing. I'll fix the chat later, don't worry. I'll see if I can fix it.
Can you go get some readings for me? I'm sure it'll be fine.
We're still doing this Time Tinkerer quest. Apparently we're gonna get a regular thing, build a deck of any size, and we'll fill it with 30 cards with shadow reflections. Oh, okay, so I think inherently there's a mage deck to be made here. Let's see. Shadow reflections of the same thing. Deal 2 damage, add 1 elemental to your hand. Make spells cheaper. Mirror entry to... Like, I know there isn't a spell. Seems like we have to make a standard deck, so this is going to turn out. But whatever, we'll double up on those. We will double up on those. And we'll double up on those, and we'll double up on those. And I think we'll probably get rid of this and just hit end and see what that does. That should work pretty well. I spent some extra time looking through all of the games for today's news. It's not going to really change too much. Of course, notifications are still not working. They're just not happening at all for my channel. What was that?
Jaina versus
That was a weird sound.
the light shall bring
I think
victory.
at this point YouTube has decided to just blacklist my channel. I'm also in a weird position now because I don't really feel like I should dispute, or, well, I'm still going to dispute content ID claims and try the fair use claim. Gosh, what is this sound effect? This sound effect is awful.
Job's done.
Awful. But Universal Music Group in particular, who handles Disney and several other people, has completely decided to just not honor a fair use claims at all. And so, playing Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens, there's a lot of monetized claims there that somebody literally at UMG just went through every single one of my claims, and they certainly weren't looking at it. There's evidence based on the timing between the emails that people could not have actually even read or read the disputes, nor listened or watched the video. So you know they're not they're not doing what they're supposed to be. Furthermore, I don't think it's legal for a rights holder group to act on the behalf of another and file copyright claims, although I guess technically the YouTube thing isn't a legal process at all, so that you can violate YouTube's rules pretty easily and they don't care.
Is someone injured?
In the long run, this is a long sentence to say. I think you may see some ads on some of my footage that isn't actually bringing any money to me. I don't see a reason, however, to take those ads, take the content and the music out and have the process that I was calling Content ID rot happen to my videos. It's better that you listen to the music and skip the ads. So if you see any ads on my channel for at least the next 6 months, you can almost certainly assume that those ads are not giving any money to me, and you can skip those easily without any fear of hurting a small-time YouTuber. This is the biggest problem with the YouTube kicking out small creators and new creators is now there's really no reason not to violate copyright. I should go start a different channel and just upload stolen footage, entire movies, entire TV series, because who cares? Like, until you get those 40,000 watch hours or those 4,000 watch hours and the 1,000 subscribers, you're not getting any money anyways. You have no chance. You've taken a system that was benefiting people by giving them a few pennies to be on the straight and narrow and taking that away, and now there's no reason not to try to run a scam and ignore copyright completely. So yeah, I think as just a matter of saving myself time, I'm just gonna ignore copyright for the most part and let people run ads. In most instances, I think the copyright deadlock might also be in effect in a lot of instances for me too, where different companies are claiming different things. But I don't know. So that's all I really have to say, I guess, about that. That did not play the way I would wanted it to play. That certainly did not play right. So let's see. If your deck has only odd cost cards, I don't have odd cost cards. We'll put in a couple more cards in play, I guess. The other thing is I started playing Black Mirror 2. 8 years difference between the 2000 year release of Black Mirror 1 and Black Mirror 2 in 2011. I don't know. I think we're gonna have to decide to mess with the volume here for a while. So let's go ahead and just turn that down quite a bit. Black Mirror 2 definitely is improved in the graphics. It's definitely a tiny little improvement in the gameplay. It seems like I got through Act 1 a lot faster than it probably took me to get through Act 1 in the first game. I'm I'm sticking with it and trying to finish it because I'm kind of under a rush of, as I'm just constantly also falling behind. So there's only 2 of these, so I literally can't use this until I have a 1-turn kill. Or at the very least I could use this when I'm close to 10th turn and get a bunch of elementals. See, this would be 1, 2, 3. And if I wait next turn, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I wait 2 turns. So let's just continue with the wait. This is an odd weekly tavern brawl. It really is a waiting system. See, those are like the only 2 copies of that card I'm ever gonna have. So if I play this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then in the turn. Let's see if I play this, and then this. I guess that works.
I can't do that.
There we go.
It is finished.
There we go, we've got our win. Good, I can turn the audio back up now, and hopefully we won't have to listen to that. That sound effect. And I'm making pretty good progress on the daily quest already. The problem with Black Mirror 2, however, is it seems like it's not written by a native English speaker. The writing seems awful. Maybe it's because it's translated to English. I think that might have been the case of Black Mirror 1. The first cutscene before you even start the game in Black Mirror 2 shows like a murder committed by the character of the first game, and then there's literally no murder or investigation until you're at the very end of Act 1. So you play an entire act starting with a very simplistic tutorial puzzle to change a fuse, and then you kind of just do errands and wander around. Like, there's a small motivating factor that your mother, as the new character, passed out and is in a coma, but there's really nothing you can do about it. You're just trying to go yell at somebody who you are blaming for that. So it's just not good gameplay, and it kind of spoils and makes the game, the surprise of the game, or what I assume is going to be the surprise of the game, seems pretty obvious. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a twist of it. I also know from reviews that most of Black Mirror is a flashback, so at a certain point we are just going to run into, I suppose, I'm in Act 2 now, so I suppose by the end of Act 2 into Act 3, Act 4, and Act 5, assuming there is 5 acts, I imagine all of that is flashbacks, and what is occurring in the modern time doesn't matter. The voice acting is really horrible. There's a doctor there that sounds like Christopher Walken, Walken, who has a very
You asked for it.
unique way of speaking because he, I believe, had brain injuries in a car accident or a stroke or something, and if it actually is Christopher Walken voice acting in a video game, that's not good. Like, in all honesty, if it weren't for the fact that he probably needs the Screen Actor Guild health coverage, I would say he shouldn't work. That's one of the major problems with SAG as in the Screen Actors Guild, is that you have to make at least one movie per year to stay in SAG to get their health insurance, and so some very unhealthy people, very old people, end up taking roles for movies that they shouldn't really have to take, and probably wouldn't take if they were just pensioned into a health insurance plan based on, I don't know, earning a certain amount, paying a certain amount of dues, or just being in movies in general for, say, 4 or 5 years. Betty White is another example of somebody who might very well only be taking roles because of health insurance reasons, although I would suspect she probably likes it too, likes to act. Moving on, we've got some news. Let's go through it. Let's try to rush through this, and so I can get back to Black Mirror 2, and rush through that so I can get back to Borderlands 2. I watched, by the way, a ESA speedrun, I believe, of 3 people speedrunning through all of the original missions, none of the DLC of Borderlands 2, in about 2.5 hours. So I am certainly, as a single player, taking my time and not speedrunning the game, taking a lot longer than that. But I also think I might be close to halfway point on the main story, which is kind of nothing when you start adding all the DLC together. PC Gamer has an article that a popular antivirus software may corrupt Dark Souls remastered save files. Let's get into that. By the way, I also did something pretty crazy and uninstalled Windows 10 Firewall Control. It's a program that pops up a warning message before something tries to access the internet. It's still controlling the default Windows 10 firewall. It just adds a pop-up message, something that was definitely prevalent in firewall software that you needed before Windows had firewall software integrated. However, at this point, like, I'm only installing games, and I've had this software installed for probably 4 years straight, and I've never said no to any software. It's always yes, you can access the internet. Maybe I tried to block 1 or 2 pieces of software that was just gonna download ads, but that's kind of it. So I decided, you know what, this thing has probably been sitting on my CPU, taking up probably less than 1% of the CPU processor time, and probably less than 1% of the RAM, but I'm just not using it. And so I decided to uninstall it. Hopefully that doesn't turn out to be a huge mistake. The firewall is still there, just Windows by default is gonna, I think, allow anything except for the most suspicious activity ever. Bandai Namco has responded with a fix for this antivirus corruption thing. Apparently, players using Bitdefender and Windows Defender have reported corrupted save files, indefinite load times, and instances where cloud sync services, Google Drive for example, interprets save files as in use and therefore makes them inaccessible. Let's see. It seems the problem's been kicked up to publisher Bandai Namco under the headline warning Bitdefender and Windows Defender may treat Dark Souls remastered saves as corrupted files. why specifically those files are being treated as corrupted files. It seems likely what might be happening is that the files are opened for writing immediately, and then they're not closed for writing until they're not closed for writing after a game should close it. Like, ideally, good programming would be to open the file for writing, save your file every time you save, and then close the file. Or more ideally, you would want to make some backups and have multiple saves. This is one of those instances of yet another Japanese company just not really knowing how Windows works when they really should. Let's see. The cloud services saying the files are in use would be that a instance of the file being open for writing. Also, it probably screams to bad programming, because I would imagine at this point the libraries you would use for file manipulation should be using a few different mechanics compared to the old days, making revisions, making versions, doing shadow copies and hidden backups. There's a lot of features in Windows 10 that could be used and should be used. Let's see. Apparently, if you just exclude these save files from your antivirus software, everything should be alright. But it's possible your antivirus software might touch the file and do something to it and corrupt it before you get around to it.
You will wither and rot.
So yeah, that sucks. Next article we have: Fortnite earned $100 million on the iOS in just 90 days. I think we've probably already had that information. In comparison, Clash Royale? Yes, Clash Royale made $154 million in its first 90 days, putting Fortnite at second place, and then third place is way lower. Honor of Kings made $33 million in the first day. So, yeah, Fortnite is big. I didn't realize Clash Royale was that big. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article: educational app Tiny Tap raises $5 million towards accessible learning. This Tel Aviv-based educational company, Tiny Tap, announced yesterday it raised $5 million in Series A funding round by Aleph, an Israeli venture fund. Seems like Israel is sort of set to be a new center of video game development, assuming Israel can stay stable and politically stable and not irritate all of its neighbors. Like, I don't know if I would really want to start a video game company in Israel if I know every single game I make would not be purchased by most of the Middle East and many other countries around the world. Let's move on though. I'm not going to get into a rant about that. First game we have on Steam is called Space Guard 80. There was quite a few, you know, RPG Maker looking games I just closed. I don't think every single 2 days I need to go through the same song and dance about, oh, here's another game that clearly has no effort put into it. So I closed those. Space Card 80 is a casual adventure indie action game.
Masterful.
It's a side-scrolling shooter, but I'm not sure I'd call it a actual bullet hell shooter, as much as it seems like it's more of a mobile game that's a little bit slower.
Out of cards.
It would be a very introductory style of a bullet hell shooter, because there just aren't that many bullets on everything. Everything is big pixel and block. Space Card 80 is 40% off for $1.19. And it's the first game from this developer, and it looks pretty enough to at least give it the time to mention it, but that's about it. It's not good enough to make me actually want to play. Your Gamer has an article that says Limbo and Inside launch on the Nintendo Switch next week. We certainly knew that information already, it's just being re-mentioned. And that is a great example of, it was probably 6 months ago that Limbo and Inside were announced, and instead of is this guy really gonna kill himself? No, I didn't think so. Yeah, it's a great example of just like the hype train not really making sense. That something can get announced and then get forgotten, and then 6 months later you have to announce that it's coming out again. And this was announced over the course of E3, which is problematic in itself. Somebody wants to be my friend. Alright, I'll hit accept and we'll see what happens there.
You asked for it.
I guess you just don't want to announce a game around E3. If they had announced 6 months ago that Limbo and Inside was coming out a year from that point, so 6 months from now Limbo and Inside came out, you would then be very far away from E3. But the fact that 2 weeks after E3 this game is coming out, it's going to be pretty easily forgotten. Also, the Steam Summer Sale allegedly starts tomorrow, so there is that confusion too. I don't know if you couldn't probably get Inside and Limbo for a pretty decent discount on Steam tomorrow. I would say anything that's on sale right now, any weekly sale, any daily sale, and practically anything that was on sale for the past week, probably isn't going to have a better deal for it available compared when the summer sale happens. However, for me, I guess that doesn't really matter because my plans haven't changed. I'm going to spend about $300 on the Pinball Arcade Pro Packs to get all those things, because those pinball tables that were licensed are losing their license on June 30th. We saw nothing at E3 that indicated any new company is picking up those licenses. It seems like the pinball tables are the license holders for the pinball tables are a kind of slot machine gambling company, and they're probably not going to license it to games. Maybe they will, but we got no indication that that's happening anytime soon. It would have been kind of amazing, and that was one of the things we were trying to see if that would happen, is if maybe the creators of Pinball FX3 would pick up those licenses. But even if they do, they're not going to announce anything clearly until the 30th has happened, and you lose your opportunity to buy those tables. So for the summer sale, that's all I'm buying. Hopefully that gets me whatever trading cards or game mechanic they add on there. Trading cards now are exponentially more valuable than they were, say, about a year ago, because it's a lot harder for games to be approved to sell trading cards. And even achievement games, older achievement games now are exponentially more valuable, because old achievements games could have given you 6,000 games. New ones are being limited to 100. Like, Mahmoud Ada is on the chat. He says, "Hi Rydo, how are you?" I'm doing great. Actually getting back to recording some footage of other games. So when the summer sale happens, and I'll say it at the end of every recording I do today, as I say it in every recording, that would be the time that this is my big push to ask people to support me. My last line of defense to actually make any kind of income while doing all of this work of streaming and making footage is to ask people to help fund my collection, so I have more different games to play. So friend me on Steam and gift me games during the summer sale so you can get them nice and cheap, or buy games on the Humble Store or like Indie Gala, any place that gives you Steam codes, and direct message those to me on Twitter. Or if you don't want to choose any games and look through my wish list, which is a slightly curated list of games I'm at least interested in looking at, not all of which are good games by any desire. That you can also click the gift card button, and that locks you into certain increments of money that you can gift a gift card to me, but then that would be helpful too. During the summer sale would be the right time to gift me a gift card, because then I could spend that money during the summer sale. If I got a gift card after the summer sale happens, I'm probably not going to spend that money for a while. Probably not until the fall, like a Black Friday sale, a November sale, or Christmas sale, which last year on Steam, it certainly was weird how they basically had 3 sales for 3 months straight, and none of them were really great. The summer sale is the big sale, and it's more and more. If I wasn't buying the Pinball FX pack, I would be buying more practical things, larger games, AAA games, games that came out a lot earlier. Instead of a lot of my games are, 5, 6, 7, 10, 20, 25, 30 years old. I've certainly played some extremely old games, and a lot of that is because they are cheap during the summer sales, and it's easier to get up to my level of having 900 games if I'm buying a considerable amount of games that are cheap in bundles and such. But I've also kind of had no real luck on that. There's very little interest in people looking at those games, and it would have been really nice to play something like Deus Ex Mankind Divided the day it came out. It would be nice to maybe sit on a gift card and wait for Cyberpunk 2077 to come out and have that pre-ordered. Right now, The Evil Within 2, and as you buy new games, you have to make sure you get the Ultimate Edition, or I'll have to go buy the DLC, which makes it more difficult for me, certainly, to play the game if I have to go find DLC packs. The Evil Within 2 is a great example of a game that should be that kind of is at the top of my list, because I played The Evil Within 1, I would like to play The Evil Within 2 and move that series forward and stay on top of that. In a similar way, Resident Evil 7, it makes a lot of sense. Those are very similar games, but I played Resident Evil 6, I played Resident Evil 5, I couldn't get Resident Evil 4 to run on my PC. There is a desire to buy a new video card when the 1180s come out, so that is a non-Steam thing I want to save money for too. Right now all I'm trying to do is cast spells, by the way. Let's see, there's probably a long list of games, and tomorrow I think I might do an extra live stream in which I decide to go through my entire Steam wish list and we start sorting things and looking at games. It will be an entire live stream, I guess, built around just e-begging. That's all I can do these days. I don't have enough subscribers or fans, frankly, that I think I could get a Patreon. Unless some fan was actually to tell me, if you started a Patreon, I would donate $5 or more, and I'd really stay committed to it. I don't think that I could even start a Patreon and get enough income that Patreon wouldn't just eventually shut down the account for inactivity. I kind of like to do that. I'd kind of love to have a Patreon and take any chance of Google and YouTube getting a cut out away. And then I could be a lot more relaxed about my channels not having enough subscribers according to Google, my channel not having enough watch time. There is a slight issue. Linus Tech Tips apparently got a strike for making a spam video because he made a text-only video saying, "Hey, I'm on Twitch now, go check me out." And it's a prime example of how YouTube just did not explain nor enforce its spam rules correctly from the beginning. Like, I totally get that YouTube would say, no, you can't make a 5-second video saying, "Hey, I'm streaming on Twitch, come watch me on this competitor." But they've been letting people do that for at least 2 years. I've seen tons and tons of YouTubers put up videos saying, "Hey, I'm on Twitch," and then they delete those videos relatively quickly once they start streaming. You certainly can't do the opposite. You can't put a video when you're an affiliate partner on Twitch saying, "Hey, I'm streaming on YouTube, go check me out." Like, Twitch from the beginning set that rule obvious. Any company doesn't want you driving your audience away from that company. However, you can almost forgive all creators for telling their YouTube fans to go on Twitch, which no real progress has been made on my Twitch account. It is now acting as a backup, and that's kind of it. As far as viewers, subscribers, followers, whatever. Like, it'd be nice if I grew that so that maybe I could apply for affiliate status on Twitch, but I don't think that's really gonna happen, and I don't think Twitch has all the features that I would like, nor all the eyeballs that I would like. It would be kind of ironic, I guess, if YouTube started getting rid of people. Captain Sparkles, for example, made a video saying, "Twitch, please don't strike me because I've done this exact same thing," which is for the most part that was just a clickbait video. But it would be kind of funny if some of the big YouTube video game streamers all got kicked off or left YouTube, but I don't think that helps my channel any. I think that just hurts YouTube in general. And if YouTube becomes a worse place and less people go to it, that doesn't help my channel either. So ideally, I'd actually like everybody to succeed. And a rising tide lifts all boats type logic. It's not. Yeah, nothing else is gonna really happen otherwise. Let's see, where were we? There's a game on Steam called Deadly Delivery. Seems like you're driving a radio-controlled car. It looks almost like a lunar buggy, but it's just an RC controlled car going through several environments that look kind of like asset flips. I'm not sure if I never played with remote control cars, so I'm not sure if there's actually a significant amount of fun playing with an RC controlled car in virtual video games. It seems like you're putting a hat on a hat, and the idea of driving an RC car is probably a lot more fun when it's in the real world doing real tricks. If you're just driving something in a video game, the fact that it's an RC car doesn't mean anything. I also just realized that I have been saying radio controlled RC car redundantly, so apologies for that. So yeah, Deadly Delivery is a bad name for this game. It's basically an asset flip that looks decent enough, and inherently we more and more with every day asset flips. The definition in my mind of what an asset flip is getting wider, and they are getting a lot better looking. And so I'm at the point where what I call an asset flip is just a shorthand for disconnected, illogical assets in the same game. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article following the hardware exploit. Nintendo bans Switch consoles with pirated games. We kind of have been hearing this for a while now, but maybe just it hasn't been really reported. For the most part, I think if you're going to mod or allow your Switch to run unsigned software, undigitally signed software, you probably need a mod in there to stop it from ever connecting to the internet ever again. Like, you need to stop it from getting any updates, you need to stop it from getting to the eShop, you need to stop it from doing anything. At least getting to the Nintendo part of the internet. You could still probably install a homebrew channel and download updates through the homebrew channel, but I think we're very much in early seems like we're in early days for Switch modding, and it's very, very possible that we will see a second revision of the Switch that doesn't have this hardware exploit. I'm not even sure the Switch as a console right now is a good Switch to mod. Like, it would be a lot easier to go get a Wii U or a Wii and mod that and have a whole plethora of homebrew games and experiments than it would be to try to do Switch and play pirated games on the Switch. There aren't even that many games available for the Switch compared to the Wii. Or Wii U.
We
Wii
must
U
cleanse the
is,
Sunwell.
I believe, backward compatible with Wii games. So, like you the Wii U, you mod that, you probably could pirate a much larger library of slightly older games. I don't know. Let's move on though. Steam now has developer and publisher homepages. The new feature is now in beta, makes it easier and more pleasant to follow along with your favorite studios. I started seeing this a couple of days ago when I was clicking on developers, and it seems to be an opt-in system. So the publishers and developers have to actually go in there and kind of make their own YouTube homepage equivalent. And frankly, it doesn't really seem nicer to me. It doesn't seem more understandable or logical.
Jaina versus Jaina.
What it seems like it does is it allows the publishers to highlight games and de-emphasize DLC, and kind of there's a coming soon banner, there's a latest games banner. Looking at the pictures right now, I'll probably see it once I start looking at games a little bit more too. But I'm not sure it's as smooth and logical. I'm not sure, honestly, if Steam shouldn't start changing the blue a little bit too. Get it a slightly shade of blue with every update until eventually it's to a dark gray. Because the whole Steam and blue color thing has been going on for a long time. I think it's time for a full refresh. But you don't want to drastically change things because people will complain about that. So slowly shift the color over the course of a year, which many companies have done. Generally speaking, Steam is going to need to get closer and closer to something like an Excel sheet of just hundreds of numbers on the screen, hundreds of bits of data, squeezing as much information as possible on the screen as more and more things happen and are available for purchase. Right now the front page is an infinite scroll to show you a lot, but just that first part of the first page before you scroll down is mostly full of large thumbnail pictures, which that's not really gonna cut it in the long run. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article. Unity is moving its entire infrastructure to Google Cloud for connected games. Unity is migrating its entire infrastructure over to Google Cloud as part of a new partnership which will allow game developers to access development tools from a new feature titled Connected Games. So, like, for instance, this Unity game, Hearthstone, now one would assume is going to use Google Connected Cloud in the background for some of its multiplayer interactions and such. That's what I assume it is. Yes. In fact, even as soon as I click the page, the first image it shows is Hearthstone, with, I think, Human Fall Flat or no Gang Beasts, and I can't even see that third one. Let's see. So this is back-end stuff. it's not Unity having its programming interface run through Google, which could be a different way of saying something very similar. And it doesn't seem like it's probably going to be too much of a change. It's pretty common for people to move from Google Cloud to Amazon, Amazon's online services, which Amazon has been a big provider of online services, and Microsoft has its own online services. I think it's called Azure. Oddly, I don't think there really is too much of an Apple online service, because Apple kind of hates games, and online services and cloud services are more game building. There is the iTunes backup and stuff like that, so Apple has some of that, but not in a way that other software can use. Yeah, that's interesting. We'll see if it makes games run better. Your Game has an article. Disney is making a Nintendo Switch TV game show. Basically for the Disney Channel. It will be called the Nintendo Switch Family Showdown Contest. Families will get on the show and play games like Mario Odyssey and Splatoon and such, and I imagine they'll be given specific challenges and not just playing the games in general forever. Let's see. Well, we're done with this. Let's go ahead and move over. It really does feel like 6 weeks. Less than 6 weeks, we're going to have a new expansion come out for Hearthstone, and I've seen really no indication of that. I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the Time Tanker point, we just have a new expansion come out as a surprise. Let's move over to the European account. So, unlike Family Double Dare, which, in all honesty, the Double Dare and Physical Challenge shows don't work now in the United States because a lot of people are a lot less healthy, a lot more obese at young ages, and just unhealthy in general. Healthcare is a nightmare and insanely expensive in the United States. The laws are a lot different, so you can't get away with as much. Let's do this tap and roll. Let's see.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
We may have to turn down the audio again. Let's see. This this. Let's see. These two. These two. These two. I don't have two of these. Interesting. These two. Looking for this one. And trying to see if there's something else that would make sense there. This and that. And hit. Let's try that. So yeah, it also wouldn't be the first time that there was a game show where people play games, video games, arcade games on TV. That has happened before, but
Anduin versus
I seriously
Gul'dan.
doubt it will be any more popular than any other Disney show.
The light shall bring victory.
I know one of the producers of a lot of the shows got fired or no longer or parted ways with Disney, so they had some time spots to fill that they would have filled with something else almost certainly. So yeah, I imagine it'll maybe go a season unless it gets really big. We're still getting that audio, that odd audio choice. Let's see. Just gonna end my turn here. So a couple of days ago, there was this flat 2D platformer type game that in a lot of ways looks like a Zelda, Legend of Zelda from NES, an NES style game that so many of them are made. And it was called something Hunt 2, and it was like Treasure Hunt Guy 2, or it was the name of the game, and I was feeling very generous, and I said, sure, I'll let that in, even though more than likely I shouldn't have. Well, now there's this game that's a Wonder Boy inspired action-adventure RPG platformer NES looking game. It looks a lot better than Treasure Hunt Guy 2, and it's gotten press from like new from the mainstream like big video game media, which slightly also, I don't know why that inherently means it's better than the game I saw, but in a small way I kind of feel like it might be. Just on that alone. So yeah, this just looks better, and this game is called Aggleos, Agggelos. And so yeah, I'm gonna put this on the wish list. It's 20% off for $11.99, so the price is high, certainly, but I think this is worth looking at. So when the Steam Summer Sale happens tomorrow, as it should be, I imagine I'll take Treasure Hunt Guy off my list and keep the other game on my list. Let's see. The only other game actually made by this developer was made in 2014. It's called One Quest, and it has a 58% positive mixed reviews. Interesting. And looking at One Quest, I can certainly see that it at least suffers from looking like an RPG Maker game of some sort. So, but it seems like they also took the time to let's see. If only I had played this first, I could have gone on forever. I guess I could probably double my attack multiple times next turn, though, and win. Gematsu has an article. New Gundam Breaker details free post-launch Gunpla distribution. Gundam OO Diver and Gundam Legatus will be added. I believe New Gundam Breaker was delayed a little bit, but I'm still rather interested in seeing it come out, particularly in the West. Of course, you're gonna have to be a pretty big Gundam fan, bigger than me, to know the Gundam models by their name. Like, that's something I certainly don't know. Right. We're hoping this works. Well, actually, if I play this, oh, you suck. I was gonna play this, and then I was gonna double for 0, double for 0, double for 0. Oh well. So goes my fun. Like, maybe we'll play it again and try that. Next game we have on Steam is called Arcade Love, which looks like it is a combination of several Japanese arcade games that I don't recognize, and none of them look particularly good. Like, so yeah, there's definitely some weirdness there. I'm gonna hold on to all of these. Yeah, I don't see any reason why Arcade Love is 10% off for $17.09. That's incredibly high. I don't see any reason why I'd want to play this game. Let's see. It's from a company called Triangle Service that has a bunch of Japanese games, but I don't recognize any of them. And while most of them are rated positive, they must be Japanese only releases that are pretty niche. Next game we have is a game called Crying Is Not Enough. It came out June 19th and is rated mostly negative, with 25% of 51 user reviews rating it positive. They say it's a third-person survival horror game. The player has to face enemies using weapons and a survival mechanism. He has to solve various puzzles and make progress by slowly unfolding the studio. It's tagged with gore, violent, survival horror, indie action, and horror. And the cutscene that I'm looking at the trailer looks really good. So I'm at a very large, confusing loss here as far as why this game looks like it has polish on it and looks like it would be a good game, like a AAA level quality graphics type game, and looks like it could easily have been a sequel to Alan Wake. Every single thing I am seeing tells me this looks like a AAA game, so why in the world is it so negatively reviewed? Let's see. It's 10% off for $17.99. There's a tag here, a recent thing that says feedback and other issues. First of all, we want to thank each and every one of you for supporting us. With that said, we want to inform you that we take serious into account your issues. And then I have to click here.
The light shall burn you.
Let's go ahead and play this. And then return. For us, Crying Is Not Enough is a product that we wanted to publish it on Steam and get over with. It is a 5-year project. It is not a product that we wanted to publish on Steam and get over with. It is a 5-year project that we aim to support. So we carefully study all of your comments, and we are already working on the first patch that will be available very soon. Okay, so what are the complaints? I guess looking to the responses is not going to be helpful. Darn it. Well, I'm not going to try it for a third time to pull off that trick. I think there's probably something better I can do with my time than do that. Plus, I'd like to have the audio back up to a reasonable volume. So what is this negative review? For what first not recommended review is 0.7 hours. For what I've played so far, I don't think it's a good nor bad game. Nevertheless, it needs some improvements. For example, sync audio in a lot of cutscenes. Subtitles need to be improved, at least in Spanish. There are a lot of errors in some phrases. There's a lot of frames per second drops for me at least, and although I have a good computer. Item menu, if there's one thing you need to tell the player how to open it. Objective menu, or something where you can see what your objective is. So that's it. Next not recommended review has 0.6 hours. I understand this game was a passion project for the devs. A chance to make and release a survival horror game in the same as Silent Hill and Alan Wake, but it falls very short. Bad voice acting, subtitles that are different from the dialogue spoken, unskippable cutscenes are not the best way to start a game. From the start of the game forces you to watch these cheesy cutscenes and makes you sit through load screen after load screen as you move from one small area to another. Now I know this is beloved horror games in the past had you go through load screens when moving from room to room, but that was in the early to mid 90s of the PlayStation. It's 2018 on PC. Next not recommended review says crazy amounts of loading screens, sound non-sync, subtitles not accurate. A helicopter is a plane apparently, feels clumsy. So here's another one. Mediocre graphics, awful character models and faces, clumsy camera movies, no interaction indicators. Like a lot of complaints here. Wow, so this is probably the first instance I've come across a game that sells itself very well and looks very good, and it doesn't look like an asset flip. Even though I keep saying asset flips more and more are being done so well that it's hard to immediately tell. And yet this game still isn't good enough. So Crying Is Not Enough is the only game from this developer. There's nothing else to really support this, people, or keep an eye on them. I don't see any reason why I'd want to follow this game in the hopes that like a year from now it turns out really good. 5-year passion project feels like maybe a lot of it was done in the arts element, and there was a lack of skill maybe in the gameplay, game engine element, possibly in the writing element since it's just a horror game. So somebody on this team probably very good at their job with the animating, but even at that I would say that's probably in cutscene animations that look very good, because there's also complaints about character models in the game. Looks very pretty, but thank goodness there are reviews out there so I don't get tricked. It's been an hour and we are roughly halfway through the European account. We got this card pack, so let's open it. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we just have a 2-hour stream today. That would be nice. But we'll have to see. We'll definitely have to see how it goes. Particularly, it's a matter of how fast I can get through news, and I'm not really getting through news very fast. I never am. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell, and comment, and watch every second of my videos. I know that's asking way too much. I need to rethink how I wrap up my recordings. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, particularly right now, since the Steam Summer Sale is happening tomorrow, friend me on Steam, gift me a game, gift me a gift card. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, June 20th, not July. We're getting through things pretty quickly because we're in the middle of this Time Taker event that's giving us some very nice daily quests with dust, setting us up very nicely to open 50 card packs, which it feels like the next expansion to Hearthstone might come in a week or two, which there certainly hasn't been any indication that that's the case. I just need to play dragons, basically. So there's, I believe, a deck I built. Hopefully, somewhere around here. Let's see. Let's see if this custom mage is the. I forgot to turn to dust the card pack I just opened. Let's see. Come back. Out of crafting mode. Click on this custom mage and see what's in it. Yeah, there's some dragons in here. Alright. So that's the dragon deck I built. This is the first time we've ever been given a quest around playing dragons, so I wouldn't want to see that quest continue after this event because it's unlikely that most people would play through dragons. Moving on, I gotta burn through news, so I'm gonna try and go through it as fast as possible. PC Gamer has an article, Dead Cells devs plans to add basic mod support before lunch, hopefully as early as this month. Dead Cells is probably going to be dead on arrival, in all honesty. The truth of it is, it's just not been able to keep enough hype about the game, and it came out in early access and people liked it in early access just fine, but once it's finished, I think everybody that was going to play Dead Cells probably has already played Dead Cells, except for the few people like me who chose to put it off. But if we chose to put it off, we'll probably wait until it's on sale. So I imagine I wouldn't be surprised if I don't get around to playing Dead Cells in a year or two from now, in favor of other games and newer games. I really would, at this level, prefer to just have games come out and be surprises for everybody. There's a story. Well, thanks for that, I suppose. You can move up in rank to on the wild. Not that that's gonna really help anything. There's an article out there saying that single-player stories are hurting at least 2 developers who were interviewed on IGN. Single-player stories are being hurt by people streaming on Twitch. It's hard to prove that to be true because it's very possible that 100% of everybody who watched the game on Twitch and then still chose not to buy that game were never going to buy that game. It's practically impossible to prove that argument one way or the other. But certainly some developers don't like Twitch and don't like streamers. I think also there are just people who don't want to play video games but would like to know those stories, and I think you're broadening your base. Not everybody plays video games. Arguably, this is the same reason why movies come out on TV. Not everybody goes to a theater, but you would still like to license that movie and have it on your TV channel after it's had its run in the theaters. If movie makers only ran their movies in theaters, they'd never make any money back, nor would they. So, like, the movie industry in particular, they sell to the people that want to go to a theater and have that experience. They sell that same product to people who want to own it and buy the DVDs and Blu-rays, probably Blu-rays at this point, and then they sell it to a third audience for people who want to watch it on TV. So that product is getting shown and sold to 3 different audiences. Inherently, though, I guess the difference between that and streaming a game on Twitch is video game developers aren't getting a cut when somebody streams a game on Twitch. And I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't a point where game developers tried to make a push telling Twitch to say, we want you to run ads on this person streaming our game in some way so that we can make money from it, even though because people are watching our game. And in a way, they already are doing that because there are ads when people are playing a game to buy that game. But I wouldn't be surprised if some developers want them to run, say, like car insurance ads, like just standard random YouTube ads on Twitch streams to get ad revenue that way. Of course, that's a lot of speculation, and I don't have time for speculation. So let's move on. There's a game called Picross Fairy Tale Nonogram Red Riding Hood Secret that came out. It's a Picross nonogram game. It's free to play, so I guess the price is right. The graphics look alright. So, but for the most part, it does kind of also look like something that would have been a tablet game. I doubt it was a cell phone game. First game from this developer and free to play. At least when there is a developer that comes out and makes something and it's their first release. If it's free to play, at least you know they're trying to build up a fan base and an audience and have a name, instead of so many companies their first release is a $60 or $25 game. Moving on though, PC Gamer has an article, Red Shell analytics software causes privacy uproar over a dozen developers vow to drop it. Let's see. There's an update here. So there's this software called Red Shell that people were putting inside of games. It was tying people who purchased and installed the game and played it to cookies, basically, that they were collecting through where you were browsing online. Just a significant amount of eroding your privacy online is software and algorithms connecting what you did in point A to what you did in point B, what you did in point C, so that they know where you've been. The equivalent here is you wouldn't be upset if somebody saw you at the park. You might be upset if somebody saw you at the had pictures of you at the park, and then at the mall after that, and then at your house, and then at your church, and as it just goes on and on. Like, there's a certain point where incidental collection of your knowledge changes to downright stalking, and that's really what all this is. Let's see, Red Shell said they collect information through the operating system, browser version number, IP address anonymized through one-way hashing. That's not how hashing works. Screen resolution, in-game user ID, and font profiles based on the font you have installed, which unless Windows 10 installs fonts automatically, which maybe it does, I would think a considerable amount of people would have the same fonts installed. Maybe it does actually install fonts backwards. Then the quote here is, we have no interest in tracking people. All of that is around tracking people. just computers for the purpose of attribution. And see that is such a lie. And it's like, we have no interest in tracking people, just everybody who uses that computer. Like, the update here says Team 17 said that Red Shell integration in My Time at Porsche, The Escapist 2, and Yoko's On Express and Raging Justice have been fully removed. And then some other games here. Here's a list of games that add Red Shell and have either pledged to remove or remove it. Let's see. Can I play any more dragons? Nope.
As the witch commands.
Elder Scrolls Online pledged to remove it. Conan Exiles pledged to remove it. Wylands removed it. Holy Potatoes Were in Space removed it. All Total War games, every single Total War games have pledged to remove it. Warhammer Vermintide 2 has pledged to remove it. I imagine some of these are going to pledge to remove it and then either go with a completely different company, or Red Shell is just kind of change its software name and put in a different type of software. Dead by Daylight pledges to remove it. Battlerite pledges to remove it. AER Memories of the Old pledges to remove it. Magic the Gathering Arena, which is the closed beta not on Steam, pledged to remove it. Secret World Legends pledged to remove the remains of it. Hunt Showdown pledged to remove it. Omen Sight pledged to remove it. Ballistic Overkill.
I wonder.
So a considerable amount of people were using this games were using this software, and this is the first we've ever heard of it, which is scary. Here's a game as of June 18th that still are using it and haven't pledged to remove it. Civilization 6, Kerbal Space Program, Gardens of Embers, The Onion Knights, Realm Grinder, Heron, Anthem 0, Warhammer 40k, Eternal Crusade, Crossmaga, Krosmaga, never heard of that one. Eternal game, card game. Let's see. I'm just playing a bunch of dragons. Don't really need to. Yeah, we'll just play that. Eternal card game, Sniper Ghost Warrior 3, Astro Boy, The Edge of Time, Cabal's Card Blitz, City Battle, Desolate, Doodle God Blitz, Dungeon Runners, Labyrinth, My Free Farm, Nos Tales, Rockshot, Shadowverse, SOS and SOS Classic, Soul Workers, Stonies, Tales of Candlekeep, Tomb of Annihilation, War Robots, Survived by Injustice, The Wild 8, Warriors, Rise to Glory, Trailmakers, Clone, Drone in the Danger Zone. That's another oddly named one. Vaporium, Robothorium, League of Pirates, Doodle God, Genesis Secrets, Angel, Archangel, Hellfire, and Skyworld. A considerable amount of these games don't seem like they're Unity games. A lot of them feel like they are very much just running a web browser in the background of some sort. And I'm wondering if that might be the integration vector as to why there are so many of these games, but like Conan Exiles and Elder Scrolls Online certainly are not running just web browsers.
Well played. Unless
this is a very non-exhaustive list. It doesn't seem like this is just an easy to integrate, cheap to do software through Unity or Unreal. Seems like Red Shell contacted big AAA developers, maybe AA developers, and sold their software directly to them. People went for it. So yes, privacy is always a concern, but honestly, I'm not sure I'm super upset with Red Shell until I see more information saying that it's really bad. It doesn't seem like it's much more than general cookie spying that happens in a lot of different places, and it's not good certainly, but it doesn't seem super atrocious. Moving on, we have a game called Carly and the Reaper Man Escape from the Underworld. And it says it's an indie casual adventure VR game. It's a unique co-op experience in and outside of VR. Master platforming to avoid danger, solve puzzles, and build your way through the underworld in this co-op multiplayer game. So, looking at the trailer, there's Carly, this girl with kind of neon green hair, who's doing platforming and jumping, and then the Reaper Man is this like Grim Reaper-esque head that is moving platforms around for Carly, and the Grim Reaper head seems to have all kinds of different customizations and decorations there. Like it, in a weird way, it kind of feels like it's sort of the opposite of Catherine. We have turned our curse into our strength. But here's the problem: it requires VR, and at least in one VR headset, and it's an asynchronous gameplay mechanic, which we've seen so many times. Asynchronous gameplay mechanics don't sell well or work. Let's see.
I must move quickly.
In here. It's 10% off for $22.49. Suppose if you have VR and you want to play a game with your friend, that'd be great, but I kind of would really hope that this game would be playable in single player, which it isn't, without VR. And this is the only game from this developer, so Carly as a character, or Reaper Man as a character, haven't been in any other experience.
Put this apple on your head.
Let's see. I'm gonna run the gamble. And it's pretty looking as far as a game, and I guess I would recommend it if at least people check it out if you have VR. As for me, it's not only a game that I wouldn't get because I don't have VR, it's also a game I wouldn't get because it'd be impossible to record and review. I need somebody else to play with me also. Lemon Lover came on the chat to show us a lemon. Staying true to his name. I'll play this one instead. That's what we want. Next game we have on Steam is called Artillery Cats. I'm not gonna dance around this one. This is a Bomberman clone. The thing, however, is it's free to play. It doesn't seem like it has any way of making any money at all. It's online multiplayer only. It doesn't look great, but if you want a free to play Bomberman game, Artillery Cats is out there. It seemed good enough that it needed to at least be mentioned. Otherwise, I was going to not. It almost didn't get mentioned at all. Next game we have on Steam is called Colon Numbers. Actually, I guess this would be Colon Numbers. COLON UMBERS. It's a brain teaser game. With numbers and colors, and so it's supposed to be like color and numbers mixed together, but they've accidentally spelled the word colon. It's a one-screen game. Looks like it might be an interesting puzzle for 99 cents. Let's see how many levels there are in it. Seems like there's only 4 challenges in this entire game. And it has 5 achievements.
Let me think.
Yeah, this I don't have enough confidence in this game to buy it. And then the game before this game, developed by the same developers, called The President, which is a political simulator according to them. So I think we may be on the level of a either extremely low developer or a troll developer releasing these games.
I wonder.
So yeah, I can't recommend either one of those. Next game we have on Steam is called Yakuza Kiss. Let's see. It's a early access indie nudity, sexual content, violent visual novel. This is one of those gay guy visual novels that is directed towards older women in Japan, guys this time, not boys, not younger men. And the graphics don't look great. There aren't a ton of these type of stories that actually make it to visual novels. They usually stay as mangas and in the print form, and the interactivity is not something that in general for females females are super desiring of, where the male mind very often wants visual and interactivity in their porn, for lack of a better term. Females often love romance novels, and it's a little surprising to see this game actually make it to a digital form. It's 10% off for $8.99. If the graphics were a little bit better, I would say check it out. You might also, if this is what you're looking for, not have a lot to otherwise collect or play. So if this is what interests you, you might be scraping the bottom of the barrel. Interestingly enough, this game is only in English and it's in early access, so I don't feel like this is actually a Japanese game. I think it's just in a Japanese style, telling a Japanese story with the Yakuza. The first feature is live 2D animated characters. So yeah, there's definitely some weirdness with this product. Let's hit this, that, and then return. This is the first game from this developer, Yakuza Kiss. I kind of wish there was more tags here.
This curse has become our greatest strength.
Like, there's a Japanese word specifically for gay guys stories targeted to older women, or at least in Japan they say it's targeted to older women, but in Japan they also refuse to admit that gay people exist in Japan, so they only write it in fiction, so it's very possible that it might be targeted to actual gay guys. There really isn't anything more to say about Yakuza's Kiss, so let's move on. Next game we have on Steam is called Circle Up. It says it's an indie casual action game. And what is it really? It is an insane mix of just random elements with a crazy looking, very busy background that's spinning in circles. This is a game that's almost certainly guaranteed to make you motion sick. It's basically a Flappy Bird game that you're using the mouse to click, which screams that this is probably originally intended for a cell phone. It's just awful. Circle Up is no discount at $2.99, and yeah, I could not suggest anybody buy it. There's another game made by this developer called Mr. Dubstep that has 12 user reviews from September 18th, 2017. Well, 12 user reviews. Yeah, I guess in total. So, yeah. Even a year ago, Discover, the Steam store, was doing a pretty good job to not highlight terrible games or even mediocre games. Perhaps it was doing too good of a job, and games that deserved to be highlighted didn't get highlighted. But I haven't seen any great evidence of that. Gamma Sutra has an article. Amid rumors of buyout talks, GameStop confirms it is in exploratory discussions. So here's the thing. Toys R Us is going bankrupt. It is shutting down all its stores. That really only leaves like Target and Walmart and local grocery stores, Barnes and Noble and bookstores. Unless Best Buy wants to start selling toys, or some other company like that. Some other company wants to start selling toys. There's not going to be very many toy stores out there. GameStop should actually be doing rather well on that news, because they could buy a lot of toys, be very picky about it, and expand their storefronts away from selling video games, which they were losing money on selling video games as more and more games become digital and they're not getting a cut.
Repent.
This is probably just Explosive Trap.
Astounding.
But instead, I guess GameStop is just not saved up enough money, and they're going through a tough time, and potentially they'll get purchased out. There's probably a lot more to the story of why that might happen. I don't know who would really want to buy them, though, honestly. We need... The one thing you're not seeing in the US economy right now is people starting new stores. Like, there's not new types of grocery stores, new types of toy stores, there's not new hiring or any kind of innovation there. No, it's everybody is just going to Amazon. I could imagine Amazon purchasing, say, Toys R Us or GameStop and just using them as a slight way to push more people to do Amazon again. But frankly, Amazon is too big already. That it needs to be broken up. And if we had any real restrictions on corporations in the United States, it wouldn't have been allowed to become a juggernaut in selling books, let alone selling everything else. That's why I think the easiest solution would be to just have a 100% tax on corporations and people in the United States over a certain point. Make it impossible for them to gain any more money, and thus their desire to gain more money goes away, and they have to either take that money and give it to family members or invest in other businesses or give raises to their employees, all of which would be much better than one CEO or a handful of managers of a corporation just constantly forever hoarding the money, doing very little with it.
Reporting for duty.
Again, probably explosive trap. Done. Oh, interesting. Here we have A Tale of Two Achievement Lurker games. On Steam, there's one called Achievement Lurker, Ballad of Shipperman Warrior King of Panties, from a developer called Perverse Games, which looks like an awful RPG game, and there's no reason why you'd want to play it whatsoever. And then the number of Steam achievements included are 100. It is 40% off for $1.19. And what's interesting here is this game came out April 24th, 2018, according to this Steam, which that doesn't seem like that is right at all. No, it came out June 19th. So the date is actually wrong, and it said the right date when I clicked on it. So that's one thing. The next Achievement Lurker game is called Achievement Lurker You're Going to Have to Work Hard for These Nuts. It's from a company, capital P Perverse Games, and they have been not really flooding, but they have about a dozen Achievement Lurker type cheap low effort games on Steam. And the thing to take from this, however, is this game that looks exactly like the other Achievement Lurker game. It looks just exactly like it. It has 4,956 Steam achievements. It's 25% off for $1.49. So now we've introduced, it's going to take them, I guess, a little bit of time to realize this. They've introduced this economy, whether they meant to or not, on Steam, where older Achievement Lurker games, or achievement games in general, are going to be a lot more valuable than new ones. 50 times more valuable, literally. So I wouldn't be surprised if these games don't go up. I'd be surprised if it's 50 times in value, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're paying $5 instead of $1.50 for these games pretty soon. $10, even 20, 30, maybe even more. Meanwhile, this developer Perverse Games is really not getting is going to be limited, so maybe they'll stop making money, or maybe they won't. The next thing that Steam will have to do is they need to limit games that haven't sold a certain amount, stop them from having the ability to raise the price on their games to beyond a certain point. And that's going to be a very difficult sell to Steam, because they really don't want to do that. They don't want to have to put in limitations on what you sell your own game as. But yes, definitely limits are now in place and things are going to be different. How things will be different, we'll have to wait and see. Next game we have on Steam is called Suzy Cube. It's a 3D platformer. It looks pretty good. It's a little blocky, a little low polygon 3D platformer, but it looks like it's moving fast. It looks interesting. Let's see. It's 40% off for $40.79. I don't have time to look at reviews. This game looks kind of like, you know, a Mario Odyssey type clone, although I wouldn't even say Mario Odyssey. It's probably closer to a new Super Mario Brothers style clone. You're jumping up, you're collecting blocky coins. Doesn't seem like there are too many enemies, but there are some. It's rated positive right now, 90% of 11 user reviews. I think Suzy Cube, that's S-U-Z-Y Cube, even though it's the first game from this developer and this publisher, I think it's worth keeping an eye out. Attack this and get an explosive trap. Next game we have on Steam is called Anima Gates of Memories. I'm gonna turn down the audio just a little bit. I had to adjust the audio on Black Mirror 2 also, which is weird because the audio has different sliders for like music and sound effects and background music and background effects and voice and overall volume, everything you'd want. And every single one of those sliders by default was in a different position. And still the game had background effects that were way too loud for me. Which definitely was weird.
Your magic shall not
weird choice in how they decided to design their game.
Reporting for duty.
Next game we have on Steam is called Anima Gates of Memories, then Nameless Chronicles. This feels like the Anima series is, I think, a Japanese series, but I guess maybe this isn't because it's only in English, French, and Spanish. And I guess the word anima isn't copyrightable, so but several people could make it. There is a game from this developer called Anima Gates of Memories, and the Nameless Chronicles, I suppose, is a continuation of that. Let's see. Let's see, is this a single player game? Yes, it is. It's a single player game, limited. I guess I want to watch this trailer. The animation doesn't look super great, but it doesn't look super awful either. So it feels like it's a single A game, double A game that they're. Let's see. They're having us play. Seems like it's a fast-paced sword swinging with magical ability type game. In the trailer, I'm seeing a lot of characters, a lot of storyline stuff. So there seems like there'll be cutscenes. Seems like there'll be a lot boss fights. It doesn't look bad. So I imagine if I was going to play the Anima series, I probably need to start with the first one. Like even the trailer, the second trailer on the game says, if you liked the Anima Gates of Memories game, prepare yourself for this. So on the back of Anima Gates of Memories, I guess I have to wishlist this game. Keeping an eye out for it. there is certainly a element here. The publisher of this also published Hack and Slash, and let's see if anything else I could recognize.
With honor.
Not really. If I was gonna get into a JRPG game, I think Code Vein, I think God Eater, probably a lot better choices. Yeah, but yeah, I'll keep an eye out. I'll wishlist these, but these are probably not low quality, but low on the list, low priority JRPG games, since they're not really based on an anime. They don't seem to be super popular, and I could probably do better playing Final Fantasy. That's what a lot of JRPGs boil down to, is should I play this or should I play Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy 15? Moving on, Gematsu has an article. The Spectrum Retreat launches July 10th for PS4 and July 13th for Xbox One and PC. Switch version due out later this summer. It's a first-person puzzler game. It's really colorful. I believe the Spectrum Retreat is a game designed around color coding puzzles, so if you're colorblind, forget it. Fortunately, I don't suffer from that, but yeah, you're in some kind of crazy puzzle world that you're going to have to solve puzzles and move things around.
Move quickly.
It looks interesting. I'll definitely wishlist it as soon as there's a Steam page, which apparently right now there isn't. Which is weird, it's only a month away. But yeah, Spectrum Retreat. Also though, one of those games that very possibly will come out and be very critically acclaimed, but not very well received as far as game players. We have a lot of games like that. Next game we have on Steam is called Haimrik, H-A-I-M-R-I-K. It says it's an action-adventure, indie, violent puzzle, cartoony game. It says you make worlds come to life in this action-adventure unlike any other. Haimrik blends gameplay with the narrative of its story set in medieval times, combined with crisp humor and rare visual styles. I was watching the trailer of this game, and there are like distinctly different gameplay elements, but one of the main gameplay elements is walking on different levels that, like, there's platforms with words on them, and you're in some way interacting with those words to cause something to happen. It has a sepia tone, brownish grayscale type color to it, and it's visually different, visually appealing because it's visually different. It's 15% off for $16.99. Let's see, there's also some hack and slash to it, it seems. Definitely different enough to deserve being wishlisted. Let's play this. And go ahead and play that. And play that. And then return. Let's see, we already talked about that game, so we don't need to talk about it again. There's a game on Steam called Defense Task Force Sci-Fi Tower Defense. I don't want to immediately dismiss games just because they're tower defense games, and so I looked at this, and honestly, it's very pretty. It's still a tower defense game, and you're going to have to resolve in your own mind whether you want to pay 20% off for $20 for a tower defense game, because that is really, really expensive even for a very pretty game. But this is out there. It looks good. I don't think it takes VR, no. And it's the first game from this developer. But I did want to mention it. I'm not going to wishlist it, though. So I'm willing to go halfway.
Reporting for duty.
Next game we have on Steam is called The Last Day Defense, which is a VR tower defense game that also looks very pretty. And it's not from the same developer or publisher, according to Steam. It is an early access for $19.99. This looks very, very similar to the previous tower defense game I looked at, though. There's definitely some differences, but I'm wondering if maybe there's some Unity assets out there that somebody just released, or maybe a developer decided to make a VR tower defense and a real-world tower defense under different names for some reason. I don't know why you'd want to do that. 2 tower defenses coming out back to back. Not super surprising, but a definite indicator of low effort game development still being a major factor. That's the number one thing I want to see, is people stopping the BS, the low effort stuff.
Die, mage.
Next game we have on Steam is called Sniper Rust VR, where you play as a sniper. It looks pretty asset flippy. In a funny way, the Hitman Sniper game, I imagine, has already taken steps to make a decent sniper game, and I like how they put an arcade elements to that, and it's not just shooting people, but there's other things you can do. Or Sniper Elite also has made a lot of progress towards making sniper games, so why not have them make a VR version instead of just a random company? So I really can't trust Sniper Rust VR. Doesn't look that good. It looks like a asset flip. It's $9.99 with no discount.
Amazing.
To battle.
Let's see. Yeah, just keep on playing and keep on going. Yeah, this is the only game from this developer. Sniper Rust VR does have a demo at least, so if you have VR, you could try it out before you purchase it. Let's see. Gamematsu has an article, Varner, V-A-R-N-I-R, of the Dragon Star details story world and characters. This looks like it's a new, yet another JRPG for the PS4 that's coming out to at least Japan. A lot of anime girls and in interesting fashion outfits. Fantasy, high fashion, big poofy dresses. Different colors, all magical staffs and such.
Time runs out on me.
There is a slight overabundance of anime girls in games on Steam in just the school outfits. Like, I know that's pretty common, but a lot of those games end up taking you to fantasy worlds anyways, and the outfits don't seem to match. And there's a lot to say. I'm probably not the one to say it about how fashion in anime things in general is kind of amazing. in how crazy and ridiculous it is, even crazier and ridiculous than a lot of fashion shows and shoots. Moving on, there's a game called Candy that is like Puyo ripoff basically, or Bubble Bobble ripoff for it's Candy. It looks decent enough, except for the fact that it kind of obviously looks like it's been taken directly from a cell phone game, and so it's not widescreen. I'm not sure the game like that would work in widescreen. It's kind of an interesting attempt, at least. But yeah, I can't recommend Candy, and that's all it's called, is Candy, made from a developer who's made a game also called Math Hero and Hidden Space, none of which have gotten enough reviews to be rated. And I'm noticing one came out in February, one came out in March, and one came out in June. So it seems like they're very consistently going to put out a game every month of not extremely good quality. Here's a question. Have we done all the quests? I guess we have. Well, let's move over to the Americas account. There's no reason to stick and play on the European account at this rate. And I actually am, through just some luck more than anything else, working through all the games. There's a game called Made to Order, the party game. It's, I believe, it says single player, but it says it's also a party game. It's another one of these games where you're serving food, or it seems like there might be some slight differences and some craziness here, but for the most part it's serving food, and that's kind of it. I'm not even seeing in this trailer any characters at all. Instead, you're just stacking a bunch of random stuff. Hey, let's try something here. Warlock here, and let's see, these two and these two, and just end that and try that. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything special about this game. Order up. It's 15% off for $2.54. It's as pretty as so many other things we've seen. Let's turn down this audio. And you're gonna do Tavern Brawl and not even do enough testing to see if that's what you should do. So yeah, I clicked on the developer Made to Order, Mega Dwarf, and they have their new beta thing, and boy is it not helpful. This looks a lot of work. Apparently the developers of Made to Order also made God of War, a game I tried to play and got rather bored with pretty quickly. I really wanted to like God of War, but as a game it didn't play well. I mean, what else can you say? Gamasutra has that article I talked about earlier called Stick or Twitch, How Stream is Hurting Single Player Games. Let's see. This is really just a re-article of the IGN article. Let's see. They interviewed two people. Let's see. Here's a quote sentence. One of the folks quizzed by IGN, Vlam Beer, co-founder of Rami Ishmael, never heard of this, believes the emergence and immersive popularity of streaming and its video platforms like Twitch and YouTube has changed how studios think about development and marketing. Quote, one of the most under-discussed effects of Twitch, YouTube, and Let's Play, the whole content creator ecosystem on games industry, is how the marketing impact of those platforms has affected what kind of game developers make. See, I could do 3 of these right now, and then I think I'd probably be good. Let's see, this, and this. Let's see. There's another quote. Why would any major studio outside of a first party trying to sell a consoles or a studio with a reputation for single player games bother with an immersive single player campaign? Because it would make them stand out amongst the large amount of dribble that comes out that doesn't have any story or interest. I guess I'm gonna, I hate to read an IGN article, but I guess I'm gonna have to bite the bullet on this one and click on it to see who the 2 game developers that they were interviewing let's see, this, and this. There you go. Victory. Well, I'm having a hard time finding out the 2 people that they interviewed, and see, this is just kind of why it's bad journalism, because you would have preferred to have gotten more people from more comments and more input from relative people instead of comments that kind of, for the most part, are from people you could easily, at least in part, write off as just whiners and developers of games that were never going to sell in the first place. Inherently, I think you have to take that bungee jump when making a video game and say, first and foremost, this is art and not a product. If we're going to start making it from the perspective of being a product, it's not going to sell and people are going to see through that. So you have to create art. If you want to actually create art, you want to put story in it. Even if you're making a still painting, Whistler's Mother tries to imply some kind of story in it. Something that somebody can interpret and relate to. And single player, I don't think is going anywhere. I really don't feel like Let's Plays are hurting those games anymore, because for decades they've been trying to kill single player for other reasons, and the better argument is single player is dying because AAA developers are not making single player campaigns in favor of season passes and online multiplayer. That's the real argument. Like, I honestly don't believe that anybody has ever watched me criticize and talk over a game or play a game and then not bought that game had they had intentions, or if they were going to buy that game in the first place. Like, it's just not, it denies the importance of interactivity in video games, and interactivity in video games is the #1 important factor. Like, people who want to play games because they're in control. nobody who wants to play Hearthstone is going to watch me play Hearthstone and then not play Hearthstone. It's just not how it's going to happen. People who were very possibly never going to play Hearthstone might watch me play Hearthstone, but that's not a lost sale. Of course, I certainly do. Everybody on every side has some very biased interests there, and so it's really not an argument that I want to get into, nor can make without trying to be honest and saying, yes, I also have a biased interest, and the last thing I want to hear or have somebody tell me is that I'm hurting an industry that I actually like and want to see improve. Maybe this druid deck has dragons? Let's see. There's a game on Steam called VR Flush, which seems to be a troll game in VR. It's free, so the price is right, but it's a game where you're sitting on a toilet, and you're sometimes on the toilet in space, and it's like a troll game. Like, it's a joke game at least, but it's free, so I can't complain about it either. But it does require VR, or at least I think it does. So that's interesting. It's also the only game from this developer, so if people get this free joke game and like it, then this developer might have an instance of having multiple people review, think the developer does better work than they actually do. Gamasutra has an article. Mojang revives Scrolls as a free-to-play PC game called Caller's Bane. Looking at the game from Gamasutra, I'm not seeing anything. But also Rock Paper Shotgun has an article. Mojang Scrolls returns as Caller's Bane completely free. It seems like this is the final push of Scrolls out, just so they can be done with it. In the meantime, in between when Scrolls happened and when it started development and when it was released, all of Mojang was bought out by Microsoft. Now, it seems kind of odd, now that Microsoft owns Mojang, that they didn't try to show this game or say it was out free now at E3. It feels like that should have been the case. Scrolls is kind of a weird deck building game, also, where I don't know how. You have a bunch of cards that I think buff your characters, but your characters fight in kind of a grid. It doesn't look like a particularly interesting game. And let's see, you have to play through their website, it seems. It doesn't even seem like there's a cell phone version of the game. If this was a cell phone game from Mojang, I'd be a lot more interested in it. But it's out there for people who are interested, but at the very first glance, I am certainly not one of the people who's interested. Next game we have on Steam is called Phobia. It says it's an adventure indie. It says a little girl tries to escape from her fears by overcoming various obstacles in her path. So it's like Limbo, except for this time you're playing as a taller girl in a red raincoat. Otherwise everything is black. And you're running and platforming and escaping. So it's a Limbo clone for $5.09, 15% off, and I think I'm kind of willing to play Phobia. Like, Limbo, Inside, and Phobia, it doesn't really indicate that the market is flooded with games like that. And it's been quite a while since Limbo happened, and Inside happened about a year ago. This is from a developer who hasn't made anything else. I'm not really expecting too much, but I'll wishlist it. I know what I'm getting into, probably. There. Next we have a game on Steam called Chess Puzzles, which seems to me to be quite literally, just as the name says, it's a decent looking game that's going to show you chess puzzles where you're going to try to either checkmate in a certain number of turns or perhaps make some other kind of solutions. It's from a developer called Educational Games that's made more than half a dozen games, all of which are positively reviewed. And it has 153 Steam achievements, so I wonder if that's 153 puzzles, which would be a decent amount, although it also does open up the door to this being just a Steam achievement game. It's 40% off for $1.19, so the barrier to entry is not very high. So yeah, I think I'll wishlist this because I would like to play it. Unfortunately, the first two reviews say not recommended, broken as poop, as it is, pawns don't transform, chessboard has inverted clothes, AI is stupid, and then the next not recommended review is says the game only has a bad song, AI is dumb, puzzles can be separated by categories, levels of difficulty, but everything is mixed, few puzzles. I hope the developers add more over time. It's kind of a shame. I would like to see a chess puzzle game come out. Like chess.com gives you daily puzzles and very similar to this, and right now I guess you're better off doing chess.com than playing this game. I was gonna wishlist this until those two reviews, but the two reviews convinced me it wasn't worth my time.
This'll be good.
Let's see. Let's end the turn. And that is a shame. PC Gamer has an article. Steam Summer Sale 2018 is set to start tomorrow. That's where I'm getting my information.
The pleasure.
Mysterious Steam cards appeared on the site last week, bolstering the likelihood of that leaked data. Let's see.
This'll be good.
Just need to get him low enough that this would let me win. We don't know, of course, what will be on sale at the Steam Summer Sale. And PC Gamer, who apparently gets kickbacks from itch.io, ended their article saying, hey, the itch.io Summer Sale is live right now. Which, okay, I mean,
Your magic shall not save you.
That is something.
That cowardly minion is hiding.
Interesting. Be interesting to see all the games that come out during the summer sale, whether that there's a larger amount or a lesser amount. Next game we have on Steam is called Up and Up. It's a 3D parkour game. It looks like it's, for the most part, a 2D jumping, platforming parkour game. I don't know if you really call it parkour if it's 2D. or 2.5D, like what I'm saying here. This says it's 3Ds, but at best it's actually 2.5D, as far as how we use that phrase in video games at this point.
This'll be good.
Yeah, this looks like just an asset flip for. It's 10% off for 89 cents. And let's see, is this developer made anything else? Nope. But they did manage to use the new beta. The next game we have on Steam is called Living with Jaguars. It's a VR. I don't even know if this is a game. They say it's an interactive virtual reality film documenting wild jaguars in Brazil. So, I don't know how much interaction really is going to take place here, and I'm not sure you, particularly if you're a giant.
This'll be good.
If you're using VR and a jaguar jumps and towards you, you'd probably be terrified. Jaguars VR, or Living with Jaguars, is $4.99 with no discount. Maybe worth getting. That maybe one of those games that maybe you would buy if you were running an Oculus Rift at school. But yeah, easily ignored in my case. Next game we have on Steam is called Climb, which is a rock climbing, not really game. The end is coming, by the way. You just didn't know it was coming for you.
This'll be good.
It's kind of like a Smash Brothers type game. Yeah, I got a win streak bonus, and that's great and all, but I don't think I played what I was supposed to. I'm trying to play dragons, and I guess that's probably under Secret Mage. So let's do that. Of course, I'll probably lose my win streak bonus. This game Climb is free to play, early access, so I guess I can't complain about the that. But it's an online multiplayer sort of smash around a 3D environment of jumping from platform to platform. It probably won't get enough of an audience for people to actually watch it. Gematsu has an article, Otome visual novel, Zetai Kakyo Gakuin, Eden with Roses, and then a different Otome visual novel, Phantasm, are coming to PS4. Another prototype port following the 2016 PS Vita release. So several more visual novels on their way to PS4, at least in Japan. Let's see. Zetai Kakyu Gaken Eden with Roses and Phantasm first launched for PC. Wow, all of that is the same name? It's not even a different visual novel. No, it's all one visual novel with an incredibly long title, which I'm sure in Japanese that probably breaks down. I wouldn't be surprised if Zetai Kakyu Gaken is Eden with Roses and Phantasm. And it's just saying the same thing twice. All I have here is a single screenshot of a rather well-dressed guy dancing or teaching a girl to dance. So it's one of those Butler-esque type games, type visual novels, romance visual novels. Like almost all visual novels are romance novels. The game, just known as NG, has been delayed to September 13th in Japan, according to Gematsu. 1-month delay for the Spirit horror game. And there's a screenshot here of a guy who apparently cut off a lady's head and sewed it onto a humanoid doll's body, which that sounds like something that that would happen in a Japanese folklore tale. Let's see. NG is supposed to come out for the PS Vita, and the developer cited various circumstances for the delay. So there is certainly a issue of,
An incredible discovery.
even if NG did come out to the West, it would probably have to be ported to the PS4 or the Switch. It's probably not going to be that pretty. This one screenshot certainly is very hyper-realistic graphics and very interesting, but I'd like to know more about the game. And there is a article they wrote, but in the article, yeah, the pictures definitely do look like a Vita game, more of a cell phone game. Some really grotesque horror stuff, but a full remake would have to be made for NG, I think, before.
What to do? We have many secrets.
Before the could release it to the West, I think. Let's see. Your Game also had an article about Mojang Scrolls being released. Like, everybody probably had that article already written. Limbo and Inside are coming to the Switch next week. I think I already talked about that. And it's been announced like 6 months ago, it feels like. Let's see, Ubisoft is looking for a system and online operations specialist for For Honor in Montreal, Quebec. That's, I think, the only job we have. And we've got a new, very low effort game maker who has decided to release a game called Jailbreak Russia, which is a stickman game that, like, every game by this developer is mixed or negative. And there's quite a few things, but what's really weird is then he also, in the exact same day, released a game called Jailbreak Minecraft. So it's just like Jailbreak Craft, actually, is what it's called.
I wonder.
So yeah, flooding the Steam market with garbage, and in the end it doesn't seem like it really does too much.
Job done.
I think we already talked about that. There's a game called Heroes Trials. It says it's an RPG, but it's a top-down looking RPG, so the graphics are hard to get a feel for, because all I'm seeing is the top of people's heads. So I guess for that reason alone, all the screenshots look awful. It's $5.99, and I would have given Heroes Trials a little bit more of a shake had any of their depictions in the screenshots actually looked good. It's the first game from this developer too, so that's an easy skip. PC Gamer has an article, PUBG compensates wrongly banned players with 20,000 BP. PUBG Corp, unfortunately, sometimes we get it wrong. At the very least, this isn't a bad story for PUBG, which most of the stories for PUBG, at least in the past couple of weeks, have been pretty bad. So, yeah, that's that. And we're still getting win streak bonuses on wild gameplay. There's a game on Steam called Basketball Hero VR. It doesn't look awful, but it does kind of look like a VR equivalent to an asset flip. It's early access, $4.99. I'm still not I did play one dragon that time, but I think that was probably because of the mirror force spell. With more polish, I would be interested in Basketball Hero VR, but I think you probably could buy a better VR game to play basketball in than what this is giving you. And the trailer doesn't even show you a full court basketball. You're just in this box, and the balls just kind of roll around and bounce off the wall. And then there's several basketball hoops on either side of the wall, and they seem to have words above them that I don't know if that's an indicator of choosing difficulty or what. It seems like it's a system to choose levels of difficulty using basketball hoops, and the trailer is actually showing that you can just cheat by putting the balls under the hoops instead of actually having to throw the basketball to change the game settings, which inherently the whole idea is insane. Yeah, and this is the only game from that developer, so yeah, forget that. Gamasutra has an article. Unity unveils new augmented reality extension called Mars, M-A-R-S. Augmented reality is certainly something that will be a big deal for a few years going forward, but right now, not so much. PC Gamer has an article, How Leisure Suit Larry Bootlegs Infected the European Banking System, and other fun facts about the Salacious series. Let's see. Play that.
Someday I'll be just like you.
Let's see. I'm trying to get to this actual story. Let's see. It says, perhaps because people didn't want to buy the original Leisure Suit Larry, it was widely pirated. So much so, at one point we sold more hint books than copies of the game.
I wonder.
Let's see. The popularity of bootleg copies made them perfect vehicles for computer viruses, so infected Larry bootlegs spread far and wide and even made it to the European banking system. As the Financial Times reported, in 1988, several banks in Switzerland, Germany, and England lost swathes of data to viruses after hapless employees tried to play infected bootlegs on company computers. This was so common that Activision, who distributed Leisure Suit Larry, sent out a statement affirming the game itself didn't contain a virus and that the best way to avoid infected copies was to go out and actually buy the game yourself instead of stealing it.
We have many secrets.
So this is really a retrospective story. The only reason it's really getting talked about right now is because the new Leisure Suit Larry game is expected to come out eventually. So, interesting. PC Gamer. PC Gamer does do a lot of that. Writing articles that have no real relevance right now. That's not a terrible thing or a wrong thing to do, it's just, it's not something we see a lot of in video games. Eurogamer has an article, 2.5 years later, Street Fighter V gets loot boxes. On the 25th of June, Street Fighter V gets a big new update, and part of that is the addition of loot boxes, which, like, I kind of want to play Street Fighter V at some point, but I don't know. Now that they're putting loot boxes in, they've made it a even less likely to happen scenario. One would kind of hope if 2.5 years into it they're putting in loot boxes, maybe somebody will fight back from that, and 3.5 years from now or 6 months from now they say, no, this didn't work, let's instead sell a Game of the Year version that has everything, and do like so many other game developers have done. That just doesn't sound right at the beginning, but I'm not going to bother to read the entire article, because also, to be truthful, I'm not very close to buying any Street Fighter game. If anything, I'm closer to buying DOA 6, as that's been announced. Your Game also has an article called Meanwhile in America, there's an official Xbox doll accessory set, which is an American girl's doll, apparently, and it's a doll that has a gamer chair, one of the ones that sit on the floor, and a 2-scale Xbox One controller, and a headset with a microphone, and a 2-scale Xbox One console, and a couple of games. If your little girl or little boy, why gender it, wants a doll of somebody playing video games, it probably testifies that there is a considerable issue going on in your household where your kid can't play video games. Either because they have too many siblings hogging it, or something else is going on. This feels like this is pushing people to be streamers and YouTubers, and that's not really a career path. I can testify as somebody who does it as an attempt as a career path. This is not something that I think would be a good toy, nor is it something that I think encourages the right aspects of video games, because you're not actually playing video games yourself, you're just playing pretend. And yeah, there's just some weirdness there. I saw a story of a father having to actually set a father-daughter gaming night where the brothers were banned from the room so that the younger daughter could get some video game time and learn how to play it and not just be bossed around by the older brothers. And very often that might have to be the case. But moving on, there's a game called Ouch War. Let's see, is this in English? Yes, it's English, Traditional Chinese, Simplified Chinese. It says it's an early access free-to-play game. It looks like
I wonder.
It's kind of just a random battling multiplayer online game. It's free, so the price is right. So I can't really complain about that. But it is definitely not showing me anything that grabs my attention or something I'd be interested in, because it's multiplayer. It looks good enough. It's actually rather pretty looking game. But it looks like things randomly spawn and generate, and you run around on platforms shooting each other, fighting each other. But it's also the only game from this developer. So it very possibly might be a cheap Chinese knockoff of some other game that I just don't recognize.
An incredible discovery!
We have a game on Steam called Magic Chess. It says it's an indie strategy simulation sports game. It looks a lot like Battle Chess. Would look if Battle Chess wasn't a 30-year-old game. There was a chess game in particular that came out, I think, only for VR.
Job's done.
Is it called Magic Chess or Magic Chess 3D? It's just called Magic Chess. Doesn't look too bad if you wanted a chess game. It's 40% off for $3.59. Slight question about, do you need a chess game? over Tabletop Simulator. The first review I see is not recommended after 0.2 hours. Says okay about the game because I got attracted by the animation, characters playing as different pieces on the board. However, other than that, there's nothing else in the game. I played a few matches and I became bored of it very fast. It would have helped if the characters each had sounds of their own to make it more interesting, and also maybe add some effects when the pieces are destroyed, destroy another and not just instantly disappear. Maybe also introduce multiplayer to play with friends too. So like a considerable amount of stuff missing from this game that you would probably want in a chess game, compared to like Tabletop Simulator, where sure you may not get fancy animation or characters. This game, Magic Chess, is from a developer who's made at least a dozen games, but none of them have been above mixed. So, moving on. Next game we have is a game called Midnight Awake. It says it's a horror adventure game. Looks like it might be an asset flip game. It's not super great looking. Still have spells. Spells. I'm gonna go back to the druid. Although none of these actually have dragons in them. Unless I have a freeze elemental deck that has dragons. It's probably this custom priest. Let's see. Let's try this custom priest and see what this one does. Yeah, Midnight Awake. Graphics don't look great. Dark screenshot syndrome. Walking around creepy areas type game. 15% off for $4.24. No reviews. Is there anything here to not just ignore this game immediately?
Upon the just.
No, it's the first game from the developer, first game from the publisher. And I see nothing unique or special here. And we get a game like this practically every 3 or 4 days. So I'm gonna close Midnight Awake. Move on. Gamatsu has an article, Valkyrie Chronicles 4 and Valkyrie Chronicles Remastered for the Switch, launch September 27th in Japan. The release is due out 2 days after the worldwide release, which is odd, certainly.
Quickly.
Let's see. I'm not sure if Valkyrie Chronicles, I know some of those games are on Steam, but I'm not sure if Valkyrie Chronicles 4 is out on Steam. Or the remaster. Let's see. Yeah, it says Valkyrie Chronicles first launched for the PS4 on March 21st. In Japan it was dated September 25th. In America and Europe for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC earlier today. So September 25th is when it's coming out for PC, which is the date I'm interested in. So I could continue down the path of playing Valkyrie Chronicles games if I had even started the path of playing Valkyrie Chronicles games. That's certainly something. Another JRPG on the list to potentially play at some point. Gamatsu has another article, Fire Emblem Heroes adds Summer's Arrival Heroes Cordelia, Noir, Innes, and Tana, launching alongside the new Summer's Arrival Paralogue story. Paralogue? Is that something like it's not a prologue, it's parallel, or is that just a misspelling? You know, for a Nintendo game, Fire Emblem's Heroes always does seem to have slightly interesting clothing in their fashion. Seems like this girl is wearing some kind of swimsuit. You can large cleavage and see her belly button, high hips. Let's watch the rest of this. Oh, this is also a smartphone game, so well, maybe Nintendo, they may be targeting older people. Yeah, and the smartphone game itself actually looks pretty awful. Like, yeah, you're getting one still image every now and then. Yep, Fire Emblem Heroes. That's the cell phone game one. Not worth the interest. And I guess throughout the time, I'll get more information about Fire Emblem Heroes, whether I want it or not. Moving on, Gematsu has an article, Street Fighter V Arcade Edition adds survival mode improvements and a fighting chance system on June 25th. Devil May Cry costumes are also incoming. Interesting. So survival mode, I assume, means you can't die during a course of fighting several enemies and not regaining all of your health.
Reactor core online.
Let's go ahead and do this. The fighting chance system seems to be kind of based on items. Seems like odd that Street Fighter is adding any of these systems. It seems like they're moving away from having a game, a fighting game, into something else. Street Fighter V Arcade Edition is available now for the PS4 and PC. What's the difference between Street Fighter V and Arcade Edition? Is Arcade Edition eventually going to get loot boxes too? I don't know. And those questions certainly lead to less desire. I can double my healing power. Let's see. So I need to hit this, do this.
Job's done.
And then in return, we have a game on Steam called Caliban Below. It says it's a free-to-play casual adventure indie mystery. It's suffering from dark screenshot syndrome. It also looks like it's a rather old game, but it says it came out June 18th. It's not widescreen. I don't know if you even call this an asset flip game or like some kind of re-release of an old game. They're saying it's a short interactive VR for room scale. It's free, but that's kind of all I can say about this game, Caliban Below. Doesn't look good. And
Reactor core online.
Job done.
it's the only game from this developer too. There's the exact same tabs to open. The DLC Darkest Dungeon, The Color of Madness is out now. Right now it's mixed at 66%. I really am not making any progress with Darkest Dungeon. I have that game. I don't have all the DLC, and they're making more of it. There's a VR massively multiplayer game, kind of like Second Life in early access. It's free. It's called Dive Real. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. Like, I don't think any of those services ever get anywhere. It's free, and it's the only thing from this developer, which that certainly also is a confusing addition to stuff.
Hand is too full.
Like, and there is a PC Gamer article. This Steam page lets you check how much money you've spent on video games. There's also a way to do it without going to the web page. You can also search through the Steam app itself, Steam client, if you want to see how much you've spent It doesn't include things you've used for gift cards or keys or anything like that. It's just how much money you spent, I think, directly through Steam. Unfortunately, that's not something I think most people should look at or want to know. Gamma Sutra has an article, reverse engineered Diablo source code released on GitHub. It's way too late for that to really matter.
Not all who wander are lost.
It's certainly for historical accuracy will be interesting, but we're not going to get a Diablo 1 remaster just because the source code has been released, and at best we're going to get a new Diablo game, and that's kind of what we want anyways. There's a game on Steam called Battle Brawlers that has mixed reviews, 54% of 51 users. Came out June 18th. And it's English and simplified Chinese. It's free early access, so I imagine this is probably an attempt of a cheap Chinese knockoff of something like Battle Royale. It looks a lot like Battle Royale in some of its elements, but also it's not quite that in the screenshots. So it's probably trying to cover several different things. However, nobody is liking what it is doing. Death rattle menu from your hand.
Let's crash this party! I foresaw this.
So yeah, close Battle Brawlers. And that puts me at the Humble Bundle store. And I have gone 41 minutes over what I normally would do, an hour long, but I think for the most part the only thing I really need to do is get the daily quest done, and we'll be done. And ideally I'll be able to get back to Black Mirror 2. The Humble Bundle store has some book bundles and no video game bundles right now. And I can go back to Twitter and we can stream down Twitter as we're playing. The thing I didn't do is play Dragons, and so I want to kind of, I guess, do that. Let's just keep playing all of these. I was thinking this might be the deck with dragons, but I don't know what this priest deck is supposed to be, but it's certainly not anything that's helping. Let's see. I think on my channel I've proven that having the HD 1080p 60 frames per second at the end has stopped being an important thing to have. So I think I will start to go back to the other system of just putting the title and just moving on. Like, if it was getting me views, it's getting me such a ridiculous amount of not really new. It's not giving me anything more than one view. Apparently Gamma Sutra has an article top. Dev taps blockchain tech to make Pokemon playable on Twitch. Interesting. So somebody's cryptocurrencying themselves. Let's see. Do 4 damage for this. And then do this. And then in turn. Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden has a gameplay trailer. That's a weird looking game. So Shadow War will be discussing the free updates coming to the Shadow War on tomorrow. Coming to Shadow War tomorrow on their live stream. Apparently there's a new game. Just open up games and start looking at them. I still have so many spells to play. So back to Secret Mage. Or, you know, back to Druid. We'll just play Druid again. So this is probably the first time, 2 hours ago, Hearthstone episode 930 aired on my channel. This is probably the first time ever that I've run out of news before I finish the daily quest, and it's only because I'm trying to do only 2 recordings today. Game of Sutra has an article citing Dutch law. Valve drops trading for Counter-Strike Go and Dota 2 items in the Netherlands. So the 2 Valve games that had trading and a lot of gambling was happening around the fact that you could trade. Now for the Netherlands, the Dutch people can't trade. Game of Sutra has a blog, Game Design and Gamification in Real Life, which I'm not sure I really want to read that blog, but I'll open it maybe. And see, the weird thing is I'm going to scroll down my Twitter feed and find out that there's not even actually anything to say new. Jackbox Game is going to show off their new You Don't Know Jack tomorrow at 3:30 Central Time on their YouTube, Twitch channels. I don't see a particular reason to be overly hyped about it, but nonetheless, it is something interesting. The new You Don't Know Jack comes out. I think there's been a couple of very extremely short, like 30-second videos of how the gameplay in the Resident Evil 2 remake plays. 3 hours ago, Darksiders 2 episode number 21 aired on my channel. The 7th guest has a board game. I may need to mute the creators of the 7th guest. Let's do this.
Job done.
Turn. "7 Days to Die" will be free to all Xbox Live Gold members for a limited time starting June 21st. Fortnite brings back shopping carts, then disables them again 2 hours later. Rock Paper Shotgun is still talking about the game Far Lone Sales, which for the most part I think it's kind of obviously a fine game, but not an amazingly great game.
We will devour this world.
And it seems like it's rather short on gameplay mechanics. I would totally be cool with playing Far Lone Sales, but I'm also not chomping at the bit to play it. See, that was a game that I already talked about. 4 hours ago, Assassin's Creed Revelations episode 21 aired on my channel.
My hand overflows. My hand overflows.
Like, I think I'm gonna have to build a dragon deck. Right. Play this, 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 this.
Job's done.
In the turn. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds introduces a paid event pass. That's interesting. I was not expecting that.
This guy's toast.
Insomniac Games is still trying to push Detroit to become human. I kind of feel like Detroit Become Human was more successful than I thought it was going to be, but I imagine there's not too much more that can happen there. Like, if I can just survive the next turn, I'll win. Let's see. Yeah. So unless Twitter decides to start loading in more newer tweets below older tweets, I think I've seen everything. 5 hours ago, Full Throttle Remastered episode 16 aired on my channel. I'm a little surprised that that is still airing in line with other games that I recorded months apart, but it is really just a testament to how poorly my whole system has been with recording things and how badly I've dropped the ball.
My hand overflows.
Let's see. That. Then that. And then that. And then that. And then that.
Job's done.
I did look at my Twitter feed before I started streaming, and that did help speed things up. But now that we're almost an hour over, clearly I should have broken up this recording and had a standard 3-hour recording session. Let's see that. And that. Some audio was leaked for Cyberpunk 2077. I skipped over that article because I didn't even care. Like it seemed like such a non-news story, but I'll throw it out there now. Yeah, Bethesda is pushing the Prey Moon Crash DLC. Let's see.
That's not possible. This'll be good.
That was a waste of a spell card I just played. Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker for Switch and 3DS demos are now available. I'm not sure if that really that helps. Here's an interesting one. Bandai Namco running a Little Witch Academia Chamber of Time feedback survey. Like, yeah, they need to get some feedback to know that game is running horribly and it's really, really bad. But I imagine they probably have already heard that message, and the survey is just an excuse or a way of saying, well, you were complaining about the game, but you didn't fill out the survey because everybody else has long since left the game. Yeah, I skipped over at least a few troll games on Steam too, by the way. Summon deal 2 damage. Then this. That.
This'll be good.
Still haven't won. This is taking a little too long. I think this will be our last game, even if I do need to make a deck and play 3 dragons. Like, I can do that without really there being a need to show that off. If I've run out of news, which I have, which I wish every single stream was this simple. A solid 3 hours of gameplay and a solid 3 hours of news. And that just being the end of that. According to Gamma Sutra.
The day is yours.
No, I'm gonna play this. Human Fall Flat has surpassed 4 million sold. I probably should play that game at some point. Yeah, there's just... Like, there's really room to play a Silent Post show, even. But... let's see, let's start. Get rid of this. And... make a mage deck. Wild. This. And... type in dragons, and I could probably start with an entire deck of just dragons. 2 there. This is my main account, my America's account, by the way. 2 there, 2 there, 2 there, 2 there. Those, and those. Yeah, I've got a full collection of dragons I could play. And frankly, if I converted this to standard, a lot of those are wild dragons. So maybe the idea is that dragons will leave in the next expansion or be erased from the timeline, or they come back really, really strong. Oh, by the way, the game Jump Force, turns out L from Death Note, actually not a playable character. So there was a lot of question on how L could fight somebody like Goku or Naruto, some major fighters with magical abilities. Well, I have, like, in the manga, I know L, not L, it wasn't even L, it was Kira. Like, Kira was the Light Yagami. Kira was the character. that he's gonna play some kind of storyline role in there. He's not gonna be a fightable character. I know Light Yagami could fight L, the actual L, pretty well, but that was two humans fighting. That's not Goku. That's not Luffy. That's not Naruto. And the Shonen Jump Pantheon is also going to probably struggle to add too many more characters. You could add secondary characters from the expansion, certainly. There's more than enough Dragon Ball characters to take up 1/3 of the character roster. But yeah, I would like to see some more games. So I just hit the bottom of my Twitter feed. Gunfire Games doing a very nice job of retweeting every single Darksiders Definitive Edition episode. I also have a Toys and Games company that likes my Hearthstone tweets, which is nice. So I'm getting a couple of random people retweeting and promoting my things on Facebook, Twitter, but not really a lot. Twitter still doesn't feel like a personal place where I'm talking to fans. It seems like it definitely feels like it's a 100% input only place. I only need to play 2 dragons, so for safety's sake, one turn goes, I play this. Another turn goes, I play this. That's all I need to do, and then I'll concede, and we'll try to we'll go ahead and try and maybe play a mage game, and we'll just watch Twitter. A YouTuber called MXR who covers Fallout mods, mostly Fallout and Skyrim mods, it just tweeted how he's upset about Fallout 76's beta coming to Xbox One first. It makes a lot of sense to run a beta for an online game on console players, because then you run a considerable less chance of people hacking it or having different hardware. It eliminates a lot of things that might cause you to think there are back-end issues when there really aren't. It's actually client-side issues. Okay, so I definitely want to play the coin, and then I'm just going to concede, assuming the coin is a spell. And so I'll play the coin, I'll play another. This daily quest to do dragons definitely shouldn't be a daily quest. We're also still Nightbot just doesn't seem like it's doing the music requests very often these days. I'm not sure why that is. Like, should be working, but it just isn't. Coin.
Job's done.
In the turn. Concede.
You win this one.
Can't lose stars at this rank, so what does it matter? And then I just need to play spells, and I don't know specifically why I would, like, it feels like a lot of these decks I'm playing are not HS Replay decks. How can that be the case? Did I get rid of all the HS Replay decks on my main account? Maybe I did. I found them pretty frustrating. Platinum Games just tweeted Nier Automata Become as Gods edition coming to your Xbox One 626.
Rexa versus
Okay, cool. We already knew that, but whatever.
victory.
Let the hunt
Guess I could
begin.
double check everything's going on here on my Twitch account. Every stream I should just double check to make sure it's not, you know, deleted. That's my one major concern with my Twitch account right now is it deleted? Yes, no. Is it stricken? That'd be an interesting question too. Since I have an Amazon Prime account and I'm getting all these free games, if my Twitch account gets deleted and I lose all my videos, do I also lose all my games? Let's see. Very small numbers of people finding videos on my channel. Not surprising for Twitch. Very, very small numbers, but higher numbers than I would think, certainly. There definitely are, for some reason that I don't understand how Twitch works. Somebody somewhere is actually seeing some recommendations that I didn't think existed. And so it seems like everything is working good. If Twitch just had slightly better interface and brought out some new functions, I could see the beginnings of an idea to move away from YouTube. Of course, I'd have to also get considerably more views on Twitch for that to make sense. With any luck, this will be our last recording. I think this needs to be my last recording anyways. I'll play off screen for 10 more spells. I've run out of things to say. Move on. I need to move on to play Black Mirror. I did have a dream / nightmare, I guess is what you would call it. Although, in all honesty, I don't really have nightmares, so I've never. I just have like weird dreams. They don't scare me. But I had this dream where I was halfway through playing a game, like a 20, 30 hour, 60 hour game, and at a certain point I just got enthralled in the game and stopped talking, and so eventually I just decided I'm actually not anywhere close to following fair use because I'm not making any critical commentary, or I'm just artistically not even adding anything there, so it felt like it was reflecting really badly on me, and I just deleted the entire game in my dream. And clearly, you know, somebody has nothing to say when they start talking about their dreams. But that is a major #1 fear of my content creation, is that maybe my criticism isn't good. Maybe my commentary is not good. Maybe I'm not saying anything interesting. Maybe I'm saying things horribly, going and losing my train of thought and stuttering and doing a lot of things that I do. But I feel like what I do at least is something. It's at least some level of creative output based on myself, something that is unique that you wouldn't get from anybody else, and that at least somebody out there, at least one human being on a planet of 7 billion people could enjoy a little bit. And I'm very glad for my fans to directly admit and say that, yeah, that is definitely the case. Alright. I do this, and then do this.
Think again.
This. And that. In the turn. So yeah, I always want to keep that prevalent. I know playing Black Mirror 2, it's pretty slow, pretty boring game. I got quite a bit of footage recorded playing in 45-minute chunks yesterday, but throughout that whole time during that day, I also definitely felt like I was not really doing a great job of getting very much content recorded. I think mostly a lot of that comes from the fact that for the past couple of weeks, because of E3 and just general needing to take a break, I guess, that I didn't realize, which I'm not surprised that I would need to take a break and not realize that I needed to. This.
Think again.
That. And then that.
Fresh meat.
That. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if in the effort to record Black Mirror 2, I record for about an hour and a half and I take a break, and I record for an hour and a half and I take a break. By my calculation, which may be just so skewed from reality that it's not accurate at all, I feel like I'm barely getting 17, 18, maybe 20 hours of work done in a week recently, when I really would prefer to be doing 40 hours a week, if not even maybe just a little bit less, a little bit more than 40 hours a week. There certainly have been times when I've worked 40 to 60 hours a week, and those weren't fun, certainly, but this is also my own channel, and if I can't create enough content, it's gonna take a really long time to cover all the games I'd like to cover. Like, I'd like there, coming right off E3, I'd like there to be a way to catch up and say, look, these old games really don't need to be covered ever, and these new games do need to be covered, and you can afford it, and you should play them all. And I'd like to be able, in 2019, it won't really happen, but it would be nice if I could play all the new games that come out in 2018 that I want to play, and have coverage for all of them, on top of playing a bunch of old games that catch up. That would be the insane ambition that I'd like to do. I don't know if I talked about this. What is his name? I think I'll have to remember the name of the guy.
Go away.
Trying to think. Well, how do I phrase this then without remembering his name? The guy with large curly afro, who worked for Giant Bomb a couple years ago, and it was speculated he was sleeping with the girl that, although it was never proven, and it was probably just a baseless speculation, that he was, but the speculation was he was sleeping with, and that's why he was so heavily defending the girl from getting the girl who is known to have slept with several journalists, and then the journalists write, knowing reviews of our game, the creator of Depression Quest. He, during the E3 conference, got back together with Giant Bomb because they're still friends, and yeah, and made a specific point to ask everybody in the room, you guys are still with her, right? And I'm like, man, these people just will never let go of Gamergate, or never even consider that what their perspective on it was wrong. So yeah, that happened certainly. So yeah, they call him Scoops. I know that, and that's why I can't remember his real name, is because his name was Scoops to me. It was a short conversation certainly, and everybody kind of go, yeah, we're with her. I think the lady who created Depression Quest might have actually been in the room at the time. So yeah, of course, a bunch of people from California are all going to agree with each other on controversial topics. That's what they do. That's their groupthink. I don't want to get into a rant on there, and frankly, I don't have time to get into a rant. We're done. But yeah, that happens. So little embers of Gamergate and just unethical games journalism in many different ways still certainly happening. That's gonna be it for this recording, though. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. When you subscribe, click the notification bell. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description. And right now I'm particularly asking people to friend me on Steam and gift me games on my wish list, or just gift me games you want me to see, or gift me gift cards. The Steam summer sale starts tomorrow, so things will be cheap. And this is the one day out of the year where I probably spend close to half of my annual budget on games. Unfortunately, this year, that budget isn't very big since there's no monetization on this channel. So please give, and give generously if you can. That's it for this recording. Thank you for watching.